relatable to our audience is that we know the Captain Morgan pose.
There's nothing wrong with Captain Morgan pose.
One leg up and chest out.
There's nothing wrong with the Captain Morgan pose. It's when you combine the Captain Morgan pose with crossing the Delaware.
Right.
Which starts to mix metaphors.
But there is a classic painting. It's like an oil painting of George Washington.
I'm familiar with it.
Totally in the Captain Morgan pose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought our audience could relate more to the pose through the spiced rum than the first president of the United States.
I'm just saying you could have left it alone, the Captain Morgan pose.
I could have.
But you added on to it.
Well, I could have. I started with crossing the Delaware. So
that's the problem. Is you should have bailed out of that and just gone with the Captain Morgan.
Dude, I found one great oil painting of him on a horse. He's on a horseback.
George Washington?
On a boat. But it's not like a giant boat. It's like a raft, and he's on a horse on the raft.
George Washington?
George Washington, yeah.
Badass.
He was a total badass.
The original American badass.
Yeah. He could beat up so many people.
Wooden teeth and all, man.
Yep.
Never told a lie.
By the way, we are streaming live on Facebook at 97.1 The Ticket's Facebook page right now. Okay, we said we'd get to this. Let me follow through on it. And that is creating a buzz out of OTAs. Now, we've asked people who they think is going to stand out of this rookie class, maybe the sleeper. Jalen Reeves-Maben, the outside linebacker from Tennessee, got a lot of love. Michael Roberts, the tight end from Toledo, got a lot of love. Brad Kaya, quarterback out of Miami, got a lot of love. This guy didn't get quite as much. But apparently, everything that is thrown his direction, Kenny Golladay, the wide receiver from Northern Illinois, is catching. And it's making headlines for the reporters who are out there. You know, we were talking yesterday how Bleacher Report had ranked the wide receiving cores 1 to 32
yes.
in the NFL, and that the Lions ranked 14th, which is probably better than most people thought. When you start hitting on mid-round picks and finding really good players in the middle rounds, that's where I find those are the best organizations, period.
Well, that's the big value, right? Yep. I mean, you expect the greater percentage of hitting on players is going to be in the first and second round. After that, it starts to get a little sketchy. If you can hit on the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh round undrafted free agent types, you're really doing something right.
So Golladay is made, like, look at this Detroit News headline, Lions rookie Golladay makes strong early impression. There was one on ESPN too. ESPN also, I should say. Kenny Golladay continues to shine in early OTAs. Nothing but good news there. You start thinking about how it mixes in. If you look at what the Lions have at the receiving core and start thinking about, they really do truly need a number 3. I mean, if you kind of look at it, it's Golden Tate, it's Marvin Jones, and then it's probably Theo Riddick.
Or Eric Ebron.
But I'm talking about his split wide position. You can use Ebron there, I suppose, too. But, Riddick was lining up a lot in the slot. I find this to be highly encouraging. I mean, he's got the size for sure. It's 6'4". Kind of want the Lions to hit on a guy like this. To go get their own Richard Sherman, their own Tom Brady, their own mid-round pick that's a star, an absolute star, as opposed to their mid-round picks being, guys who are, it might be good, but, there's not a rush to get Anthony Zettel jerseys. With all respect due to Anthony Zettel, could be a good player. Anthony Zettel is not tracking to be the defensive line version of Richard Sherman. And nor is Golladay. I'm just saying I'd like to see it.
Well,
like to see it.
Look, it would be great if they could hit on that receiver, because I think that's the player in the draft that people most would have questioned the pick. Because of when he was selected,
you're probably right.
Other positions and other players that were available at that time, and that's the guy they went with.
Yeah, you're right, now that you mention it. In the third round. I mean, you go get a third-round receiver, I have pretty reasonably, I want to word this correctly, but I have high expectations for that guy.
Yeah.
If your receiver is taken in the third round, I think, all right, that's going to be a good player. Golladay, I mean, also have to be cognizant of this. is you prepare for the draft and you don't do a lot of work, if any work, on Kenny Golladay, and then he goes in the third round and you're left going, who? I'm sure those guys did work on him that we didn't. You're talking about the Lions front office. Gator, during the break, Kang came in and asked us a great question as it pertains to the NBA Finals. This is being hailed as a bit of a historic matchup. A bit of one. It's being hailed as a matchup. First of all, it's the first time two teams ever played 3 years in a row. Two super teams. They've each won one. There's a lot of star appeal in this finals. There's a lot to dislike about either team, which drives a lot of people to their television sets. And yet, the NBA in general, as a story with Detroiters, I think it's an accurate portrayal to say that in our years of doing this, there have been times where the NBA was a bigger deal than it is now in Detroit. The popularity for the NBA in Detroit is kind of, I don't know if it's bottomed out, but it's not what it once was. Would you agree with that? Is that a fair assessment?
I think it's fair.
Okay. With that in mind, to the admitted non-NBA fan, we ask you to be honest. Will you sample the finals? Will you turn this on? There's speculation that this could set record TV ratings, that this is one of the most intriguing finals matchups in a long time, that it should be steeped in drama and storylines. Non-NBA fans, that haven't watched much basketball at all this year, you haven't looked at the playoffs, will you turn this on? Say, you know what? This could be good theater. And I think there's a lot of people that would fall into the category of you and I that grew up in the 80s where I was watching Lakers Celtics. I didn't really have a dog in the fight, but I wasn't going to miss that.
Well, yeah, Magic Bird matchup, that's absolutely. All those matchups in the 80s, they had great matchups to watch throughout the entire decade. This is the trilogy, man. This is the third matchup between these two teams. They've each split a championship. Golden State went out in the offseason. They acquired Kevin Durant, signed him as a free agent. They look completely loaded. The Cavs are relatively healthy here for this run. They're pretty loaded. Put the two teams together, they're 24-1 in the playoffs going into the series. This is the moment everybody's been waiting for since the beginning tip-off of the NBA this year. I feel like maybe we needed a little bit more of a reminder that it's starting tonight, because they had the full week off from the time that the Cavaliers had clinched their appearance in the finals to the time when they're actually going to start the NBA finals. It's been too long of time off here between games, but now that it's here, let's go. This is what we want to see.
248-539-9797. Ticket text 97136. Are you a admitted non-NBA fan that can't admit, I'm going to sample this finals?
I think people are lying to themselves if they don't flip it on for at least a few minutes. And if it's close and it's the fourth quarter, they're going to watch, because that's how, if you're a sports fan, you want to watch competition. The best go against the best, right? I'd be very curious to see the local ratings for the NBA Finals, and I'll try to get them as the series goes on here in Detroit, especially tonight without a Tigers game.
Yeah, they should be very well received. And nationally, I think this is going to be through the roof.
It's going to be huge.
I don't know if it'll break all records, but I think this is going to be a very highly rated series.
To be 100% accurate and fair, the NBA playoffs have sucked. This has been the biggest foregone conclusion and non-compelling. Even the storylines led to dead ends. Like, who's going to win Game 7, Washington and Boston? Well, it was who was going to delay their execution longer, Washington or Boston. So now that we're to the finals, 248-539-9797. Can you admit, all right, I'll sample that. And we do have a question about the finals as it pertains to the Pistons. We'll get to that in 5 minutes. It's Karsch and Anderson, Open Lines, 97.1 A Ticket.